With this Danby Premier unit, you can actually get free energy. The free energy comes from outside, and this unit grabs that energy and pumps it inside. It's actually a heat pump, this thing. It's got a reversing valve inside, and when in heating mode it uses the compressor to turn your condenser into an evaporator and your evaporator into a condenser. So you actually have the condenser on the inside blowing hot air into your room. So in the winter this thing can heat up your room and it'll be cooling the outside air to even a cooler temperature. So it's free energy in that you use 1,000 kilowatts and you're getting 2,000 kilowatts of heating. So right now if you use an electric heater, electric fireplace or a block heater, you're spending 1,400 watts but you're only getting 1,400 watts of heat. This thing you're going to use 1,000 watts of energy and it's going to give you 2,000 watts of, actually it says more than that, but let's say you get 2,000 watts of energy. You're doubling the amount of energy. So if you spend 50 bucks on your energy bill in the winter, this could actually reduce it down to 25 bucks a month. Here's a quick review video of the Danby Premier 11,000 BTU air conditioner. For 300 bucks on sale, this unit can do quite a bit of work. In the winters, it can actually heat your apartment. It's got casters, so you can move it around quite easily. It's got auto on, auto off, a remote, and it's got an LED display, so it lets you set all your settings pretty easily.
I have an electronic box.
So this is a pretty good unit if you're looking for something to purchase. I highly recommend it. I've been using it for a couple years now, and it's never broken down on me or anything. One problem with this is that it doesn't have a removable tank, and what that means is you've got to drain it through the drain plug, which is at the bottom. Since it's at the bottom, it's very difficult to get a drain pan underneath. You've got to lift it up or do something strange to get that water out, and it has a 25-liter tank, so it's not like this little pan's going to hold most of the water. You're going to have to do a couple trips. So that's pretty silly, but one of the tricks it has is that it uses evaporative cooling, so it picks up that water and throws it over the condensing coil, cooling it down using evaporative cooling, and that reduces the amount of water that you actually have to throw away. In one summer, I actually didn't even empty it, and the tank was empty because it was throwing so much water in the condensing coil and evaporating it out the window. So you actually don't have to change the tank if you don't have a very humid environment. It does have a function of allowing continuous draining if you have a drain somewhere, but I can't use that because I don't have a drain close to the window. It comes with a window mounting kit, and that works pretty well. Here you can go to a max of 80 inches sideways and 28 1/3 inch minimum. Of course the same goes for vertical. Alright, so if you want to keep watching the video, I'll go through a more detailed review of this thing and show you how it works. It's a 2-hose system. You can remove one of the hoses and then it'll just become a 1-hose system where it exhausts outside and then you get makeup air through the hose. So it becomes the exhaust fan. So with the 2-hose system you can use it as a 1-hose system. It won't be as efficient, but it'll still work. So it gives you that extra functionality. This unit's a 4-in-1. One's air conditioning, one's heating, one's just a fan, and one's dehumidification. 3-speed fan, which is great because some of the units have a 1-speed fan and it's just really loud. This allows you to make it quieter when you're sleeping. It's got 4 casters on the bottom, so you can wheel it around between rooms. It comes with a remote and batteries. So there's 2 mounting designs. One's in a window, like that, and then it's also capable of mounting in a sliding door window, like this. So it's double convenient. It can be used in apartments, houses, all the same. It makes it quite easy to use. It's got handles on the side so you can move it around between rooms easily, and it's got the 4 casters, the wheels on the bottom. So you get a little free cooling with the wastewater that comes off the evaporator coil. It takes that water, the fan throws it across the hot coil, and gives you some free cooling there. That water evaporates, takes away some heat, and you expel that outside. So it's less water for you to empty out and dump down the drain, and it's free cooling for you. So that's a pretty cool thing that they have on this unit here. That saves you electricity and a little work in dumping out the wastewater. Here's what it comes with: a bunch of grills, hoses, hose fittings, and the drain tube, the manual, and the remote. Here's the 2 hoses. This is a tankless system, so you've got to drain it by unscrewing this and pulling out this rubber cap. Once you pull that out, it's just going to start spilling water out, so you need a very shallow pan. And this cardboard box isn't shallow enough. So you're going to have to lift this up or get a pan shallower than that. That's a pretty crappy way to drain it, but since it's got the evaporator system, you probably won't need to drain it in the summertime while you're running it too much. Because if it gets full, it'll start to run the evaporator system more, and then it should empty out enough water. It's got a washable air filter. Let's take a look at that. It's just made of plastic. Looks alright. Here's your handles on the side. And here's your continuous draining hose. You gotta unscrew this, pop this off, and then use this to put the hose back on. The front grill needs to be manually opened and closed. It's not oscillating automatically or anything, but that's fine. That's not really required if you're cooling a room. The LCD's at the front. You've got your power, cycle through your modes, your fan, speed, timer, up and down temperature. It's got a GFCI plug, reset and test. Also, you'll probably need a dedicated circuit for this. It runs at 10.8 amps. So let's spin these suckers onto here. There we go. To change to Celsius mode, you hold down both of these buttons for 3 seconds. So the set point's at 16 right now. So it's 6:56 and it's gone up to 28.7 degrees Celsius. Outside's around 28, so I'm going to turn on that air conditioner and see how it can drop it. I've got it in the living room, and it's about a 600 square foot apartment with 1 bedroom, so let's see if it can cool this place down. So it's been about 20 minutes and it's gone down about 1 degree in the living room. And in the bedroom it's gone down 0.5 degrees, so that's not bad. It's actually doing its job. So we got the unit set up here in my sliding door window. I've got the exhaust on the top and the intake on the bottom because the cool air is on the bottom. The exhaust is going to be hot and it's going to rise up. So I've got it on the top so you don't recycle your air, or recirculate it. Let's check the temperature. It is around 2 degrees. That's the fresh air side of it anyway. By the time it reaches around back, temperatures are negative. By the way, it's tested purposes. But for it to raise the temperature to 41 from 16, that's pretty good. Okay, so now it's pretty much hit steady state. It runs at 1012 watts, which is what you're paying for, and the VA is 1069 VA. Its power factor at full operating temperature is 0.94, which is pretty good. It's high up there. Pulls 8.92 amps. And the voltage was at 124, but now it's at 119, so we've got some voltage drop there just from the draw. So this unit draws about 1 kilowatt hour. So if the price of electricity is 6 cents per kilowatt hour, that means this thing's going to cost you 6 cents per hour to operate. Just keep that in mind. Now let's shut this unit down and get it ready for heating. Let's see how well it heats. So if we take a look at the back, the outside air temperature ingoing into the thing is 13 degrees Celsius. And the air coming out is minus 3 degrees Celsius. So at this temperature it's probably going to create condensate, and that condensate's going to freeze onto the condenser. But it probably has an automatic heat cycle to melt all that ice. It seems pretty smart, so I'm pretty sure that's good. So as it heats up here, the temperature is already 53 degrees Celsius and climbing. So this thing works pretty well as a heater. It pushes a lot of air and a lot of heat. And in heating mode, it actually takes a lot of power, over a kilowatt. and it's almost 1200 VA. So the nameplate amps is actually when it's using the compressor as a heater. And its power factor is 0.95. So this AC has two timer modes, one for how long it stays on and one for how long it waits before it turns on. If you hit the timer button, it goes to how long it wants to wait until it comes on. So let's say you're away for 8 hours and you want it to turn on at 7 hours, so 1 hour before you come home. Do that, push the time button again, set the temperature, and set your fan speed. Set it to max fan speed so that it operates at max efficiency. Now if you leave it, in 7 hours it will turn on and set your room to 19 degrees Celsius. But if you don't come home, make sure you don't set that because it won't turn off until you come back and turn it off. If the unit is on, and you push the time button, you can set it to operate for 4 hours and then it will turn off automatically. So those are the two timer functions it has. It's not feature rich, it can't turn on and then turn off after a certain number of hours, but it's good enough so that it can cool your room down when you get home before work. So that's pretty good. I'll show you the current setup inside my apartment right now. It's about 30 degrees outside and it's keeping the place pretty cool. So I've got an angled window here and I've installed it using the cardboard box and just some tape along the bottom. I have these edges on the outside and these edges on the inside, so that way it keeps it inside the window and seals around the edges. And I've used some tape to hold it in place, but it can stay in place by itself. Cut a couple holes inside the cardboard and used some aluminum washers. I just used some pieces of metal, drilled a hole in them as washers to hold it into the cardboard. To take these off, just twist them and then they'll unclip themselves. So as you can see here, I've got an angled piece of louver or duct here, partial duct. And what it does is push the hot air off to the side. So as you can see here, the exhaust gets pushed off to the right, far away from the intake, so you don't cause any short-circuiting of your hot air to your intake. And if that happens, it's going to reduce the efficiency of your condenser coil and overall AC unit. So that's why I've got that louver out there pushing off to the right. As you can tell, I've tried to keep the turn far away from the exhaust point as far as possible so that it reduces the back pressure on the pipe. And that way you're going to keep your airflow up and not reduce or cause any restrictions on the exhaust. But as you can tell by that little piece of neon thread, that the air is actually getting ejected to the right side. That's why I put that there, so you can tell where the airflow is. Right now it's 29.5 degrees out, and this one's reading 25.6, and it's beside the air conditioning unit. So the AC unit itself is seeing 25, and over here it's 23.5, which is in the middle of the room. So this air conditioner can cool off an 800 square foot apartment quite easily. So in conclusion, in AC mode it works quite well. The unit doesn't cycle the fan on and off, it only cycles the compressor and the external fan on and off, so you can sleep quite well through it. The compressor does make some noise when it turns on, but I think every compressor that's around the 1200 BTU size is going to make a pretty loud hum and kick on in the nighttime. So it's pretty good. You probably sleep through it. I could sleep through it, but if you're a gentle sleeper, then probably not, because the compressor is going to wake you up. In heating mode, unfortunately, the internal and external fans turn off, and that causes a very loud noise to kick on when it turns on, and then it's going to go to silence when it turns off. So as the heat cycles on and off, it's going to wake you up. So this unit doesn't work very well as a heater in the room that you're in, but it can work to heat up the living room, and if you put another fan to blow warm air into your room, that should create some okay heating. It's an efficient heater. It only uses 1 kilowatt and gives you about around 2.6 kilowatts of heat. So if you're just using a normal space heater or cube heater, this is going to be much more efficient than that little thing. That little thing takes up 1500 watts. This thing takes up 1000 watts, but this gives you 2.6 watts worth of energy. So it gives you more heat than the little tiny things, but it's louder, which is probably the big problem if you're using it as a space heater inside your room while you're sleeping. So all in all, this is a great air conditioning unit. It gives you the benefit of having very efficient heat pump heating technology. Two hose system allows you to isolate it from outside, so if people outside are smoking, you're not going to suck the air in. Single hose system sucks because it makes you have to have makeup air, and that causes barbecue smells and cigarette smells to be pulled in from outside. This two hose system isolates your outside from the inside, so it allows you to cool your room and living room without having to suck in smoke and barbecue smells from outside, which is a problem if you live close to neighbors that smoke a lot and barbecue a lot, or you live in a condo where everybody stands outside and smokes. So there you go, that's the Danby Premier. If you get this thing on sale for $2.99, it's a great deal because it gives you 4 functions: heating, fan, air conditioning, and dehumidification. Thanks for watching, and I hope that helps.